Well, look, I was reflecting back on International Year of Disabled Persons back in 1981, and a book that I'm going to be involved in launching on Sunday that highlights the progress that was made since that year, where the then government and Senator Guilfoyle pulled together an advisory committee that included people from government and non-government agencies to advise government on what needed to happen through International Year of Disabled People. And a South Australian person, Richard Llewellyn, who later became advisor to the Premier, was appointed to that committee. He went along to the first meeting of that committee and he found out that he was the only person with a disability on a committee that was set up to provide this advice on implementing the United Nations International Year. So straight after that meeting, he set up a meeting with the Minister, the Senator, and reflected on International Year for Women, which was in 1975. And his question to the Minister was, Minister, how would it be if you had a committee of men and just one woman on that committee to guide the implementation of the International Year of Women? And to her credit, she took the advice on. She dismissed the first committee and then established a committee where the majority of members were people with disability, and encouraged them to go out and consult around Australia about what International Year of Disabled People should be looking into and what things need to be progressed in order to make people with disabilities more visible and to address the exclusion of people with disabilities in so many various areas. So it was groundbreaking. It was the first time that a national advisory committee had been established with the majority of people with disabilities, and it set a precedent for many advisory committees and boards to follow. And I think that was really important. It was based on, the global recognition that people had been excluded. They'd been placed into asylums and institutions around the world, and this was to begin to change that with the philosophy of normalisation and inclusion, and led later to the introduction of the Australian Disability Services Act of 1986, which promoted normalisation and inclusion of people with disabilities, and disability standards under that act, which was just really, again, very important.